All right, good evening. Happy New Year. I now call January 3rd, 2023 regular meeting of the City Council to order. Tonight's invocation is going to be given by our Erlanger Police Chaplain, Brian Nevins.
Good evening. If you would please pray with me. Our Lord and God, we come to you with all the prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, in the promise that you give peace that passes understanding with the mind of Christ. Thank you for your great provision, for a great place to live, for this privilege of gathering in self-government, recognizing the responsibilities and freedoms it carries. We thank you for the hope that comes with each new day and new year. We ask that our city officials would be protective of our rights and take their responsibilities to the residents of our Friendship City with the gravity and wisdom they need and deserve, without personal agendas or pursuits, men and women of virtue, integrity, and a heart of humble service. In your word, you promise that if any need wisdom, to simply ask, and you will give it generously. And so we ask just for that. We pray for Mayor Fetty, for our city manager, Mr. Wolfeck, Chiefs Rader and Godsey, and for this assembled council. We ask that you hold them to a high standard of integrity, especially since you will judge them for every action. We thank you for their service and are asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom and insight for the needs of our citizens and a single mission in their pursuits to meet them. We ask for your blessing upon them and their families. Grant them personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. We pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city of Erlanger. And it is in the most blessed name of Jesus that I pray. Amen.
Thank you, Brian. I love your invocations. They're beautiful. All right, please rise for the pledge. Okay, Mrs. Hoffman, if you can please take roll.
Ms. Nicely,
Present.
Mr. Cahill,
Present.
Ms. Kyle,
Here.
Mr. Skidmore,
Here.
Mr. Hermes,
Here.
Ms. Skidmore, Ms. Reckers,
Here.
Ms. Jasper Lucas,
Here.
Ms. Wilson.
Thank you so much. You've received a copy of the minutes for the December 6th, 2022 regular council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt as presented. Ms. Reckers, Mr. Hermes. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. You've also received an agenda for tonight's meeting. Are there any additions to be made at this time? Okay, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt as presented. Ms. Reckers, Ms. Nicely. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. I have to get used to not bouncing back and forth. That's awesome. All right, so this evening we have a couple of special presentations. Our first this evening, we have our business spotlight. We have Tuas Farms here. Couple of representatives here. If you guys would like to come to the podium, the microphone is already on and ready to go. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you for inviting us. Of course, I was here just 4 years ago when we celebrated 75 years, but thought we'd wait one more year, but that's all right. Hey, anyway, my name is Dan Tuas. I pretty well run the Tuas Poultry Farm, and thank you for inviting us here tonight. And if I don't know how many people know of the turkey farm, we have a very large family, and I'm one of 17. And every Thanksgiving, most of them come back and help me out for the holidays. And it's kind of a family, it's kind of a tradition around here. My dad started the business, he moved here in '44, the turkey farm here. My grandpa had a farm over in Edgewood since the 1920s, and we started that business before that, actually. So we raised about 3,000 turkeys, and most of them are ready for Thanksgiving. We do very few anymore at Christmas time. And my dad passed away in '88, and I've been running the business for the last 25 years. And this time of year, business is a little slow, which is a good thing. Need a little break, if you know what I mean. So anyway, that's pretty well it in a nutshell. My son Danny Jr. will say a few words.
That's right. Yeah, I'm Danny. Seen the business now, so just over half of the 79 years that it's been running. So good to see some of the generations. But thinking back on the business, my grandpa was the innovator. So he's the one that took it from being a junkyard and a pig farm into what it is today. So that was pretty special to see that at the beginning of the business. And then obviously the job that my dad's done as one of his lead workers through all the years. He set up the structure so they could continue more than just his lifetime. And so my dad set up that structure pretty well to continue running it the way he has. And, keeping the family involved has been a big thing for us. I mean, you can see it every week when you go down there. You're always interacting with a different family member that you might not have seen for a while. So that's our version of the family reunion is Thanksgiving time. So nice to look back, especially in January, once all that work is done, and get a sense of relief, like he said. But the other special thing that's coming up is getting that next generation involved. So now you have grandkids that are starting to see the business and learn the business the way that I did and turn that into whatever careers they have. That foundation of the farm is pretty special. So thanks for having us.
Yeah, my wife says I'm getting too old for all this, so gotta slow up. Thank you.
So we didn't want to interrupt you guys in November and December, your busy times. So for January, we wanted to start off the new year with a long-standing Erlanger company. So make sure that you guys get some pictures and anything that you want to promote to Emmy. And we'll put it up on our social media and have a business spotlight all throughout the entire month on our social media pages. So that is just one of the opportunities that we can show our support for you. All right, and thanks again for coming. All right, our second special presentation this evening, we have some special guests here from the Lloyd High School. If you guys would like to come up here. So I have a proclamation to read.
There? Come up there.
All right. You guys want to tell a little bit about why you're here?
Sure.
All right, go for it.
My name's Kyle Niederman. I proudly say I'm the head coach of the Lloyd Memorial High School football team. Thank you. Certainly appreciate that. We had an outstanding year. We had several accomplishments this year. We won the region for the first time since 2003. I had a 10-win season for the first time since 1996. We won the Northern Kentucky Officials Association Sportsmanship of the Year Award for the first time in the history of our program. And then we got special recognition as a coaching staff from the coaches organization for the first time in the history of our program. So it was a great year. It was a great year. So clearly it's always nice to be recognized, and we greatly appreciate that. So I know that we're going to receive a proclamation here, so.
Yeah, and the guys are at a Beechwood Lloyd basketball game, so they could not miss that. That's kind of a critical.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. So I'm sure some of them play both, right?
Yes, 8
Yeah.
players.
8 players play both football and basketball, so very cool. That's awesome. All right. To all to whom these presents shall come, the City of Erlanger would like to recognize Lloyd High School's Juggernaut football team and each individual for their hard work and successes. The Juggernauts were awarded the 2022 Sportsmanship Award. They are the football Class 2A region champion, winning Lloyd's first regional championship since 2003. They are also the 2022 Football Class 2A semi-state runner-up. All district team members include Evander Abrams, Joe Cooley, John Krim, Thomas Plymesser, Amari Riley, Elijah Westwood, and Caden Zulager. NKFCA, all Northern Kentucky team members include Evander Abrams, Joe Cooley, Thomas Plymesser, and Amari Riley. Northern Kentucky Athletic Conference All-Star team members include Evander Abrams, Nathaniel Bernard, Elijah Collins, Yuri Collins, Joe Cooley, Tyler Copland, John Krim, Amari Griffin, Thomas Plymesser, Amari Riley, Isaiah Sebastian, Sam Stamper, Elijah Westwood, and Caden Zulager. Amari Riley and Joe Cooley, who were also Player of the Year, finished in the top 26. As a team, the Juggernauts finished 10 versus 4 for the season, the first 10-win season since 1996. The City of Erlanger would like to congratulate the Fighting Juggernauts on their 2022 season. Now, therefore, I, Jessica Fetty, Mayor of the City of Erlanger, Kenton County, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim January 4th, 2023 to be Lloyd Juggernauts Football Day in Erlanger, and do commend this observance to all our citizens, given under my hand and the seal of the City of Erlanger on this day, January 3rd, 2023. Congratulations. All right. Our next special presentation is our oath of office. Chief Gotzi.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and awesome guest. We're bringing 2 new firefighters on board this evening for their oath. First up will be firefighter medic Brian Ware. Brian has 8 years experience at Southgate Fire Department, 4 years with Bellevue Dayton Fire Department. Brian currently resides in Alexandria with his wife Morgan. And secondly, we have firefighter EMT Daniel Watkins. Daniel has served with Cheviot Fire Department and Deer Park Silverton Joint Fire District. Daniel currently resides in Cincinnati with his girlfriend Amanda and their 4 children. 2 of you would like to step up here.
welcome to our family. Do you guys want to stick around or do you want to head out? Okay. Bye, guys. Thanks for being here. Nice to meet you all. Hey, Lemming. Lemming. Can you look at the sign-in sheet, please? All right, so there are no public comment participants this evening. Thank you. So Mayor's report, I will just keep it brief. Welcome back, everybody. And welcome, Renee. You've joined our awesome team here. So I hope you're getting comfortable and asking any questions or feeling free to give Sherry a call. I know you guys, you're heading down to Lexington for the training, right? Okay, that's very good. That'll be awesome. It's a good experience. So, and everybody that's returning, welcome. Welcome back. It's 2023. Whew, it's crazy. And there's only 9 of you, which is even crazier. All right. Mr. Wolfeck, do you have anything to report this evening?
I'd like to report that later on we'll be considering some legislation for the disposal of surplus property. We have 18 old outdated cell phones that are being sold to a salvage company based off of their age and condition. And we also have a John Deere mower in Public Works. The reason for its disposal is also age and condition, and that will be traded in for the purchase of a similar mower.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have questions for Mr. Wolfeck? Okay. All right, Mr. Gatlin.
Nothing real official. Just want to welcome Councilwoman Wilson. Welcome to the team. And look forward to working with you. I'll talk with you after the meeting. I'll give you my cell phone, always the best way to get a hold of me if you ever have any questions on anything, okay? So welcome. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Mr. Glenn, do you have anything to report on capital projects?
Yeah, just a couple things. On Jacqueline, Kimberly, Mitten, and Debbie, that project was started this past fall, and it'll be completed up in the spring. That's Michael's Construction, and we were informed today that they're being bought out by Eaton Asphalt. So we'll be transitioning. Is that good?
It takes three bidders down to 2, basically.
I know.
That's the problem.
So hopefully it's a good thing somehow. Looking for that silver lining, but yeah, so they're going to be rolling into Eaton Asphalt. Crescent Avenue will be TMS Construction, and that project will be starting in the spring. The Public Works Facility is going out to bid tomorrow, and we'll be opening bids on January 24th at 10 a.m. for our new facility on Montgomery. So hopefully things will be going well over the next few weeks for that. Leaf collection. As you see in our monthly report, we completed our leaf collection for the year, and it was our heaviest year ever. So for some reason, there was more trees and more participants, but that was good. Our man hours went down, so that was also a good thing. So kudos to the crews for that. And anybody that has a Christmas tree that wants to drop it off, we have a drop-off at the Public Works facility, and they can just bring it down and put it in our bin, and we'll take care of it for them. Thank you.
Very
Yes,
good.
ma'am.
Our compliment. I went on the leaf collection for a couple stops and appreciate it even more because when they swing that, it looks so easy. And I felt like I was going to be planted in the stack of leaves that were on the ground.
Yeah.
So kudos to your staff for allowing me to see how everything worked. And they worked so hard, and I hear nothing but good things about clearing off the streets for the snow and also picking up the leaves. It's a great service that our city provides, and thanks for educating me.
Yeah, it's a couple great programs, leaf collection, and snow removal, so it's good.
Okay, are there any other department heads that would like to give a report? Raider?
Yeah, so I generally try not to give out a bunch of stats because sometimes I feel like they can be not exactly accurate and or kind of give the wrong impression. But I did want to talk about, we just got the yearly stats today from Kenton County Dispatch, and this year Erlanger officers handled 42,176 calls. That's a pretty high amount of calls. If you look at the number one in the county was, of course, Covington, and they were at 56,000. After that, we were the second highest, like I said, at 42, and then Kenton County had 28, and Independence had 19,000. So I don't want to paint a doom and gloom picture because that's not what these numbers represent. A lot of these numbers represent a lot of self-initiated activity, and we hold our officers to a very high standard, and we expect our officers to be out there getting involved in stuff and doing what we're paying them to do. So our self-initiated numbers are very high, and I know some of the residents, even some of the council members, had some questions about some criminal mischief issues and juvenile issues out on the east side the last couple months. And you can see in our monthly report the numbers, how high they were for special area checks and extra patrols. So it's really easy a lot of times, to cast that stone that the police are never where they need to be when we need them to be there. Well, that's partially true, and it's because of the other, 41,500 calls that the officers are answering that year. So kudos to those guys. We don't get any complaints. They go out, they do their job, and they do it well. And I think we just looked today, we ended the year with 13 use of forces, I believe. 13 use of forces and 0 complaints that came from those. And we had 0 substantiated citizen complaints this year. So when you're having probably in reality even more interactions with citizens than 42,000 calls, to not have a single substantiated citizen complaint is worth bragging about for those guys. So they do an awesome job. So that's all I got.
Very good. Thank you. All right, any other? Kara?
Good evening. I just wanted to report for Finance Department. To date, we have collected over $320,000 in additional tax revenue that was not previously paid to the city. This we continue to collaborate with Kenton County Occupational Department, which is now Business Services, on delinquent payroll and occupation taxes. So between me and Chrissy, and then our last one this month, Emmy helped us. We have collected over $320,000 with more out there. So we still have more letters that we've sent out. They've just not responded yet. So we'll stay on them.
If you keep it up, Raider's going to steal you for the police department. You'll be the newest investigator. And I think you might enjoy that, actually. Oh, yes.
I don't know if it would be I don't want to do it, I don't want to ask you to do it if it's a burden, but would there be any way to include that data just in like a chart in your monthly report so we could see, like, I mean, I know I think you've been doing this, how long have you been doing this? Year over year?
So we started this during COVID.
I was going to say, like,
Yeah.
I think it would be really great to see year over year, month over month, like, I mean, whatever makes sense. Again, I don't want it to be a burden, but I just think it would be nice to be able to see, like, over time, how much more money we're getting because of the work you're doing.
We can do
Thank
that.
you. Okay, as long as it's not a burden. I don't want any.
All right, thank you. All right. Ms. Hoffman?
So this month, the employee that we are recognizing is current employee Norm Lyle. You can visit our website under the Friendship Garden wall to learn more about Norm and everything that he's done for the city. Also, we are still collecting holiday lights for recycling to help Kenton County out. The box is in the lobby, so if you have any lights that you would like to recycle, please visit us and drop them off. And also, our property tax collection season just ended, and we collected over $4 million. We only have 2.76% that remains unpaid. And I think Jen has done an excellent job this tax season. Actually, all of them, they've just done a really outstanding job, and that's all I have to report.
I think Jen is like the most hardworking person.
She never leaves.
She really doesn't. She is always here. It's quite amazing. She's very dedicated to her job and very good at what she does.
She is.
All right. Emmy?
Good evening. I just want to recognize a couple of businesses that made investments in the community and received incentives during the month of December. Alley's Walkabout replaced some of the aging siding on their building. That looks really great if you've been by that recently. And then also a company that recently purchased the commercial building at 9 Linwood Avenue. Ohio Valley Equity is the name of that company. They have painted the exterior of that building, and they've installed new windows. They're also planning to install a new exterior sign on the building, which will provide signage for the new commercial tenant that'll be coming in, Sky High Power Traffic Control. So that'll be a new company also relocating to the city. And then also wanted to recognize We Rock the Spectrum has opened on Kenton Lands Road, offering a safe place for children's play and interaction for kids of all abilities. If you haven't been there, it's really a neat new gym and business in the city to check out. They do provide open play for children throughout the week, and just check their website or their Facebook page for those open play times. They also provide private parties and classroom experiences as well. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Emmy. Got to you good? Okay, all right. All right, are there any reports from task force representatives this evening? Ms. Jasper Lucas?
Thank you. I'm going to give a quick report on the Cherry Hill semi-issues task force. We met on the 15th of December. I will send out the unapproved meeting minutes probably tonight or tomorrow. And I'm not going to read everything to you guys that's in the minutes. I'll just kind of give some highlights. But Officer Nezzi had reported during our last meeting that in 2021, there were 23 calls regarding semis in Cherry Hill. In 2022, to our meeting date, there had been 10. That probably does not reflect all of the calls because that only catches Kenton County data, and there are likely additional calls that are coming into Boone County Dispatch because some of the entrances are there. There's been quite a bit of communication done with the Erlanger Commerce Center tenants that Emmy has done and Bill has done as well. And there were some additional suggestions that were made during our task force meeting about that as well. Officer Nezzi continues to work on the GPS system updates and issues. And then probably the biggest thing that I'll report is Boone County's involvement. They have ordered some lane dividers that will be installed on Donaldson at the entrances to Cherry Hill on Donaldson in an attempt to basically make the trucks stop and think before they turn in. I did hear from them this morning. Those have been shipped, and they are a priority to install as soon as they arrive. and they will be also installing some additional signage. I know that there's been a lot of questions from residents about what more can we do with signage. And Public Works at our last task force meeting did report that basically all the signs we have now include all the wording that they're allowed to include legally. We can't, unfortunately, we can't just put whatever we, not unfortunately, but federal law says you can only put so many things on a sign. You can't, just put whatever you want on a no truck sign. So what we're doing now is basically all we're legally allowed to do. And we're always open to new ideas. I will tell you that since our last meeting, I'm aware of 3 additional semis, 1 today, 2 last week. The one I got today literally was in the last 2 hours. So I haven't gotten to look at the video or anything. I don't think the 3 of those actually caused any damage, thankfully. But what I'm hearing from the residents is this seems to be getting worse, not better. So they're starting to come back up Sycamore. The one today came in on Sycamore. The one last week that was on Sycamore did get cited. And so we're just continuing to chip away at any of the ideas that we have, anything that we can do. We're open to it. Our next meeting will be February 13th, which is a Monday at 5 o'clock. We had some requests to not necessarily meet on every meeting to be on a Thursday, so we're going to try to do a Monday. And that'll be February 13th at 5 o'clock in here. If you have any ideas, suggestions, anything, if you want to stand out on the street and flag the semis down, I'm kind of open to anything at this point. But anyway, just if you talk to residents, continue to have them call 911 when they see a semi.
Thank you. Did I see other hands? Oh, Ms. Wilson.
Good evening. I'm reporting about the Kenton County Alliance. We had a virtual meeting this afternoon, and there was a presentation done by the Dinner Time Project. And this project is working with the youth and to bring families back together to help with alcoholism, drug addictions, to build self-esteem, and to build up our youth and our families by bringing them together, and it's called the Dinner Time Project. And this project consists of families coming together, not necessarily at the dinner table, but just coming together without the technology of cell phones. They have a box that you actually put your cell phone in order to prevent using that during the time, the family time. And there had been a study to show that sharing regular meals together can raise academic performance, self-esteem, and resilience, and it can also lower a young person's risk of substance abuse, teen pregnancy, depression, their likelihood of developing an eating disorder, and obesity. By helping families have simple conversation, growing connections, and having fun, the Dinner Table Projects hope to aid parents and guardians in not only establishing a fun family habit, but ensuring that our youth have the tools to take on the future. And this presentation has been offered to other schools, other agencies to build up this dinner table project. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hermes?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Earlier this evening, the Parks Task Force meeting, had a meeting, and there were 10 people in attendance at the meeting. And as you may know, it is the duty of this task force to establish what the scope of work will be over the course of the next year, or in the next budget cycle, with our parks, and the amount that we would recommend spending. So we did talk about some of the planning as well as the budgets. But the one thing I wanted to talk about more than anything else is that to give a little bit of progress, whether you know it or not, Peter Glenn has been working diligently on making Erlanger a Tree City USA. And this has been a long process. Just to start to get established, it took a year to be able to prove that we had the ability to do it. He has submitted all the criteria, and it's gone through the Kentucky Division of Forestry, which is really the main decider here, and they have approved us as a Tree City USA, and now it's going on to the National Arbor Day Foundation for final approval, and that's great news and great work, and thank you so much for all your hard work on that, Peter. Our next meeting will be on February 7th at Public Works Facility at 5 o'clock. We certainly would welcome anybody to attend, and we certainly would love to have more council members in attendance.
All right, thank you. Any other, Ms. Nicely?
I would like to piggyback a little bit what Councilman Hermes mentioned. Last year, I was so lucky to be involved in the first Arbor Day that the city had with Kenton County at Doe Ridge Park, at Doe Run. We passed out 240 trees, and I'm excited we're going to be doing that again this year. We don't have a date yet, right, Mr. Glenn? Okay, so hopefully there will be more people participating on council and the public helping to pass out the trees. So I just wanted to get everybody excited about that. We'll be announcing it soon. Thank you.
Very good. All right, any other task forces? Okay. Ms. Hoffman, are there any bids tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay, does anybody have any unfinished business? Okay, any new business? Mr. Hermes?
I do have one more thing. I am not sure if people are aware that the county has recently raised the payroll taxes on employees and net profit taxes on businesses. They've also tripled the cap that someone's taxed on for payroll taxes. This is a detriment to the city of Erlanger staff, the businesses in Erlanger and Kenton County, and the city of Erlanger as whole. I went to the most recent fiscal court meeting and got to hear the first reading of 2 new taxes that the county is planning to impose on short-term rentals and Uber and Lyft drivers. It quickly became evident to me that the judge executive and the commissioners are not being watched close enough. This is not the first time they've raised the tax rates shortly after being re-elected unopposed. Mayor, I'd like to create a task force called Keeping an Eye on Kenton County. The goal would be to make sure that there's a representative present and willing to speak on behalf of our residents and businesses in Erlanger. We are the 3rd largest city in the county. Those representatives would then report back to the rest of us in our regular council meetings to keep us and our residents informed. The meetings are the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of each month, and they alternate between Independence and Covington. The next meeting is at the courthouse in Independence at 5272 Madison Pike on January 10th at 5:30 p.m. Mayor, could you send me an application to create this task force?
Yeah.
And council members, please let me know after the meeting if you'd be interested in being a part of the task force. Thank you.
Okay, I'll get you the little form that you fill out.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other new business? The only other thing that I want to bring up to you guys is I'm going to add to the caucus agenda a budget amendment that we're going to be talking about. And it's really just so when we went through the building and zoning and the codes enforcement switch, a new department took over those responsibilities. So we have to just take the items that are in Gen Gov for building and zoning and codes and move them over into PW. There is no additional use of money, and actually there will be less money used, but we just have to take from line to line. And I talked this over with Kara, we've talked it over with John Chamberlain, because we kind of explained our situation and what we were doing or what happened, and he gave us kind of the proper steps to make things go where they're supposed to go at this point. So a budget amendment, there's no additional money. Again, no additional money is being requested. It's just moving lines from Gen Gov to lines in PW. Okay, those employees now that were under Gen Gov are now under Peter's team. And I'll show you all of that information during the caucus meeting. All right. There is a piece of legislation. Mr. Gatlin?
Yes, this is a municipal order of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, making the written determinations required by KRS 82083 for the sale or other disposition of property owned by the city. As was discussed earlier tonight, there are quite a few cell phones that are being sold for scrap and a 2012 John Deere mower, which is being traded in for similar item.
Okay, do I entertain a motion to adopt this municipal order as read? Mr. Hermes, Ms. Kyle, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Are there any announcements this evening? All right. Do I entertain a motion that we adjourn? Ms. Reckers, Ms. Nicely, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Have a good evening. We did it in under an hour, guys. Phenomenal. Go home to your families.